Forgive me if I start dozing off or something, but last night there's no telling how many thousands of dollars was spent in bringing all these state troopers down here to our county. I will say this though, it's been a good thing. I hear the restaurant business today is very good. We drove by Hunt's restaurant and Dobbs restaurant, and there were 40 or 50 cars there, so I'm sure they're pleased to have them in our city. But there's no telling how many thousands of dollars were spent by the state, and me as a taxpayer, it just makes me sick. But we had a grand total of 3 people here last night, and a lot of y'all have been here. We appreciate y'all being here. If you weren't here, I don't know what would happen. If the press had not been here, if the media had not been here, I don't know what they would have tried to pull. But I asked them nicely last night if they had a search warrant. The answer was no. I asked them nicely last night, do you have a court order to be here? The answer is no. I said, well, I asked them really nicely, this is private property, you're not invited here, leave our property, please. They didn't go. They say, we have orders from a higher authority that they have a right to be there. I said, okay, that's fine. Well, I asked them about 2 or 3 hours later, and again, the answer was no. On all the questions, do you have a search warrant? No. Do you have a court order to be here? No. Well, would you please leave our property? No. Well, about, I guess, 8 o'clock in the morning, about half of them left. I guess they got tired of sitting around. And about half of them left our property. And we once again demanded that they leave in a nice way. I mean, we didn't threaten them or anything, but we explained to them that they were violating the law and they needed to leave. And they were guilty of trespassing. At that point, I guess somebody in their legal department told them, well, I guess you're trespassing after warning. They've been warned 3 times, and we better get off their property unless we have a right to be here. So they're gone. Now, if you'll look through the parking lot, you won't see any of them now. So that's where we're at right now. It's my understanding there has not been a search warrant signed. If they don't have a search warrant, they're not going through those doors. If they do, they're in violation of the law, and they're guilty of a Class A felony if they go in there with their weapons. I advise the state troopers, really, I said, you know, if you do this, please don't take your weapons in there with you, because that upgrades it to a Class A felony. And, you know, these state troopers, I respect them. They're doing what they're told. You know, but the higher authority, whoever that is, and y'all can figure that out, the higher authority has basically given them a right to trespass on our property. And until they get a search warrant, I don't think you'll be seeing them back here. Now, they're down there at the rest area. If y'all want to go talk to them, they're about 2 miles away. There's about 40 or 50 cars, and there's some up there eating, and there are a few riding around, and they've got trucks lined up and all this, you know, but they have no legal authority at the present time. I wish we could get this matter heard by a judge in a courtroom. You know, they've got a pile of lawyers, and we've got a few lawyers, and you know, we can handle this in court in a fair and civil way. That's the way to do it. I mean, that's the way to settle a dispute in this country. And basically, it's not like the old days where you settle a dispute. You get a gun, the other guy gets a gun, you get up back to back and walk 10 paces and turn around and shoot each other and see who survives. That's the way they used to settle disputes back in the old days. Well, now we've got court systems and judges who are supposed to be fair, and I feel like we've got a fair judge, and evidently they don't think he's a fair judge, or they wouldn't be hunting somebody else to be their judge. So, and we don't know him any, you know, I've never met the man until Monday or Tuesday, whenever he came up here. I think it was Tuesday. But that's where we're at. If y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer your questions. This is an unusual situation.
Mr. Tyson, in his earlier press conference today, stated that the undercover person that went in here before to get the search warrant, that warrant was no longer available or useful, and that they could not get a undercover agent in here because you all closed the doors as they were coming here to put that person in there to determine whether these machines were legal or illegal. Is it Countries Crossing's intentions to remain closed or open during this time?
Well, I mean, I think it would be foolish for us to open with them sitting two miles down the road, because their guy's going to come in here and he's going to say we're operating illegally, even though we aren't. Do you think for 1 minute that if they send somebody in here, he's going to say, oh, they're doing everything right, and you know, this is a three-punch machine. It complies with the law. You know that's not going to happen. He's going to say whatever they want him to say, and they're going to go to a judge and try to get a search warrant. And that's why we're closed right now, and you know, we're filing things in federal court. Hopefully the federal court will give us some protection from these people, and I think the media here is helping us with that, and hopefully the federal judge will, whoever it is that handles the case, will watch TV, read the newspaper, and say, well, you know, I think I need to get involved in this because we don't have a judge to go to for protection.
Is that a new federal suit, or is that attached to the one?
It's attached to what we filed before, and that was, we were asking for a preliminary injunction, and basically what that means in layman's terms, we wanted an injunction to stop them from interfering with our business.
Is the entire complex going to stay closed, the construction and the restaurants and everything, or will you be able to open back up some of these things and start back to work building out here?
That's an excellent question, and you know, right now we're closed because, you know, we're seeking protection from the federal courts. I'll tell you this: if we get protection from the federal courts, we'll be back in business just as usual. I've talked to the experts that work here, and they say we can get back running in 5 or 6 hours once the go-ahead has been given.
Now, once you knew that they were on their way, did you end up taking all the money out of the machines? What happens to all that money in these machines? I mean, of course, they don't own those, and they're going to take them and put them in their storage facility. What happens with all that? That's
a good question, Rihanna. The reason they wanted to come down here was to take the money and take the machines and take the computer servers and everything else, which are valuable items, and they wanted to take our property. And we're protecting our property. As you can see, those doors are absolutely locked. They're chained, and the keys, I don't know where the keys are. So there's only one way they can get in, and that's take bolt cutters to those things and bust the doors down. And that was done for a reason, because under the law they have to have a valid search warrant to enter our building. When we did that, they're not coming in unless they bust their way in. And I think you know, Mr. Tyson, the Indians, Mr. Tyson, who we're trying to get disqualified because of the money he received from the Indians, he wants to take our money and take our machines. And I guess they need the money, Rihanna, because how are they going to pay for all these state troopers coming down here? Surely they won't ask us taxpayers to pay for this money, pay all that money. I mean, I bet they spent $500,000 last night between us and they're still spending. These boys out here getting paid overtime.
And now, if in fact they do come back and they take the machines, I mean, how were you able to prove that Tyson really did take that money? Because he did deny it to the media earlier this week.
Right.
But he also said, so what? Can you give us a little bit of information on how you found out that proof?
Well, I have seen the. Let me tell you how people try to get around the election laws. They will give money from the gambling interest. Will give money to a PAC. That PAC will give money to another PAC. That PAC that will give another to another PAC. They'll make a circle. And I mean, it's a pretty plain circle. Well, in this instance, they didn't even do that. The gambling interest gave money to one PAC, and that PAC gave it directly to Mr. Tyson.